Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest Champ.ie podcast, Ireland's premier horse racing podcast in association with Boyle Sports, Gorham Park, EJ Menswear, Shamrock Thoroughbreds, Midland Travel and McCafferty's traditional Irish bars.
They're coming to the final fence and the 25 Govs Trieste. Nick Rocket lands in the lead from Velvet Elvis, gone well clear of Favori de Shondu and Bushman's Pass. They're well strung out. Nick Rocket on the stand side for win number 10 in the race for Willie Mullins.
Enter our Champ.ie headline competition in association with Midland Travel, where you could win a trip for two to the Cheltenham Festival 2026. For a chance to win, simply subscribe to the Champ.ie podcast on YouTube if you haven't already, and scan the QR code to enter your competition details today. We look forward to discussing your weekly #5cast selections in the comment section below. Hello, and you're all very welcome along to the latest edition of the Champ.ie horse racing podcast. That is, of course, season 7, episode 19, in association with Gorham Park Racecourse, Boyle Sports, EJ Menswear, Shamrock Thoroughbreds, McCafferty's Irish Bars, Midland Travel, and of course our social media videos powered by Loanit. We've got an action-packed show for you again. As always, we're going to be taking a look at some of the big entries coming up at Thurles, Naas and Navan this weekend. We'll be looking at our 5-cast races from Newbury and Warwick. We'll also have a very exclusive interview with Ben Jones. We'll be hearing from Stephen Thorne, and as always, we take a look at the weekend best bets. But before we kick off into the show, let's get a little sneak preview of what we'll be hearing from Ben Jones later in the show.
That day when Marchand 2 hit the line, I genuinely had to pull him up, and I wouldn't have had that too many times. So,
yes, and looking forward to hearing much more from Ben later on in the show this today. Right, Barry, before we get into the 5-cast selections and all of the rest, we're hot off the heels of the DRF. Was it on? Was it not on? They got there in the finish, and we had some really good racings. I suppose the big questions is, what did we learn and what are the takings from 2 amazing days of racing?
2 fantastic days. It's Champions League of racing, wasn't it? All the stars in action day. But I'm not sure this year, looking towards the Cheltenham Festival, if we can be as religious with the following the form, because we had some blowouts. The ground, obviously, at Leopardstown was really testing with some wide winning margins. I mean, for example, Majborough and St. Marie National. I'm not entirely sure Dave will have the same winning margin in the Champion Chase, albeit you asked me what the learnings. I mean, we thought that Majborough was a better jumper than what we saw in the Hillyway at Cork. He obviously improved with his jumping at Leopardstown at Christmas, but that was some performance in the Dublin Chase. And if he turns up in that sort of form, cheap pieces seem to help Majborough. And I think an aggressive ride, a no-nonsense ride by Mark Walsh, who was on fire, 4 Grade 1s at the Dublin Racing Festival, Dave. The novices were nice as well. I thought that race with Ballyfad just touched off. Still can't believe he was beaten, Dave, last weekend. But talk the talk. I think he could be very, very smart. And Dr. Steinberg as well. I think Jerry Hallen, moment from Jerry of the entire Dublin Racing Festival, emphatic.
Always plenty of moments from Jerry, but it was superb and plenty of takings from it. Right, before we head in and look at our 5-cast selections, we want to give you a chance to win, to get yourself a trip to the Cheltenham Festival, and here's how you can do so.
To begin with the chance of winning an all-inclusive trip for 2 to the 2026 Cheltenham Festival in association with Midland Travel, Ireland's leading horse racing travel specialist. Simply subscribe to Champ.ie on YouTube if you haven't already, and scan the QR code on screen and answer the following question. Who won the 2025 Cheltenham Gold Cup? Was it 1, Galopin de Champ, 2, I Know the Way You're Thinking, or 3, Marine Nationale? Register your competition details today, including your YouTube username. Don't forget, you must subscribe to Champ.ie on YouTube to qualify. The competition winner will be announced on Thursday, the 12th of February. Best of luck and be lucky.
Yes, last chance to get involved in that fabulous prize. Of course, that's a trip to the Cheltenham Festival, and that will be announced on Thursday, the 12th. Right, we're going to head right into the action this week. We're back to 5 key races, Barry. We're going to look ahead to 5 races from Newbury, which we're going to start off in a moment, looking at the 135, the Denman Chase, the Game Spirit Chase, the Big Premier Handicap Hurdle, and the Kingmaker Novice Chase, the Grade 2 at Warwick. But let's get right into it, and we kick it all off by looking at that very competitive 3-mile half a furlong handicap hurdle, where we've got 4-1 joint favourites as we record.
Doesn't appear to be the strongest 5-cast opener that we've covered on the podcast this season over the 3 miles handicap hurdle, and there doesn't appear to be, to my eye anyway, Dave, one that could be chucked in. You know, that's a stone plus in hand here. I don't see it if there is. And there's a horse, a rock solid, a horse that I like in here, a 9-year-old Dave with just 13 starts for the Hobbs team. It's called Keeble. And I'm seeing 14-1. I would suspect that this horse will start single figures. I think he's a model to run his race in a race like this. He's unbeaten at Newbury 2 from 2. Course and distance winner at Newbury on soft ground back in November. And I think that's the key to this horse, particularly when looking at this race. I think he'll handle the conditions. He's proven over the 3 miles, and he's just £4 higher heading into the weekend than when he won over 3 miles on soft ground at Newbury back in November. So all 3 of his career wins has been on soft ground. And I think I mentioned to you off air, Philip Hobbs actually just tracking for all the runners he's had at Newbury over the years, he's tracking just under 20%. So typically does well with his runners at Newbury. And you might remember we had Micheál Nolan on this podcast this time last year. And of course, the Hobbs team took out the listed bumper on this card with Sober Glory, and he could be set to line up there at the weekend as well. So 14-1, Keeble, a 9-year-old with just 13 career starts, and he's held his form through the course of the season as well. Nice space between his runs, and I thought he was a model to run a big race each way in a race that doesn't appear to be, Dave, one that's absolutely chucked in.
Right, we move on then, Baz, because the third race of our 5-cast selections this week, it comes in the Game Spirit Chase. It's the Grade 2. Lalamba for Nicky Henderson is Nico de Boinville's mount in the Joe Donnelly colours. Currently the 6-4 favourite. Horse I absolutely love, Lalamba. I think he's done absolutely nothing wrong so far. Deserving favourite?
I'm not sure, Dave. Look, he's potential to be a lot better than this lot. But that being said, it's a big ask on this type of ground and just your 3rd career start over fences against seasoned, battle-hardened, mid 150 to 160 rated horses in here that have had a lot more experience over fences. I think it's a big ask. I mean, he has to concede. I think it's just £1 to Saint Segal, but that's actually the horse I'm going to side with, Dave, in this contest. Now, Lalamba, just back on the weather conditions, and as we're speaking at the moment, Dave, it's soft ground on the chase course at both Warwick. He's obviously entered up in the Kingmaker as well, and it's soft ground at Newbury, but there's 28 mil of rain due as we're recording for Newbury, and 20 mil of rain due for Warwick. So I think Nicky probably will run Lalamba in the Game Spirit. That seems to be what the market is indicating, Dave. But look, Saint Segal, he's had 21 chase starts to Lalamba's 2 chase starts. And Lalamba, Dave, I know you're saying that he's a talented horse, but I wasn't in love with the shape he was making over his fences on both starts. I mean, the form hasn't exactly been franked either with Fingal Bridge and Be Aware, both coming out and been beaten since. So how strong is the overall form? We just don't know. Jumping would be a worry, as I said, for Lalamba, but Saint Segal, he's a course winner. He's a rock solid mid 150 to 160 rated animal here. He's going to give his running. I don't think he's really improving at the age of 8, but he'll stay further than the 2 miles. It's going to be testing. He's won on soft ground in the past, and I thought that performance last time to the rapidly improving Tisselask is the standout piece of recent form over fences. He gave £9 to Tisselask, and that horse has got up to 160 and is a rapid improver. So that was a good run second to Tisselask, given £9. So I thought Saint Segal 3-1 was the way to side. Big ask, I think, Dave, for Lalamba to come and win this. He may well do so, but he won't be carrying my cash at his price. 3-1 Saint Segal. I think the bet, it should be closer than that in terms of the betting.
Yeah, fair enough. I think Lalamba, though, is the potential to be a real star. I've liked him in his performances so far. I think he's, again, vastly improving over fences, and I think you could see a real Lalamba, and I think after Saturday, I think you could see him shortening up nicely for a race at Cheltenham, and that's just, I think Nicky knows what he has here, and I think, that one of these horses with that untapped raw ability that is still finding his way. And I think maybe the last number of weeks since his last run, I think he could be pretty sharp for that. Right, but it's a cracking race. It really is to look forward to. Okay, we have 2 more races to look forward to in the 5cast this week, but we're going to head into our first ad break of the show. And right after this, we're going to hear from our very special guest this week in Ben Jones.
Now boarding the train of thought.
Calling out. Injury Lane. Statminster. Opinion Circus. Last Chance Cross. And Decision Time.
Back yourself. Boyle Sports.
In the UK at the moment, there's not many jockeys riding at a higher strike rate, 33% at the moment currently. You're having real good success. How would you describe the season so far?
No, it's been brilliant. Obviously, weekend after weekend, there seems to be big winners flowing in. So no, I'm very much enjoying it.
Take us back to the big race, of course, over Christmas. The Jukebox Man. It was a 4-way go to the finish, and when you realised you got the job done, I mean, that must have been massive.
Oh, it was. To be honest, I had a dream run round. Jukebox, he travelled and he jumped superb, and turn of a home, I just pressed the button and allowed him to stride on. Thought I'd win 3 out and 2 out, and obviously the 3 others came around me coming down to the last, and obviously we met a little bit deep and we were half a length down on landing, but to be fair to him, he battled out really well and got back up luckily. So no, it was a brilliant feeling, and hopefully we can keep kicking now to March.
And he's a horse that's had a bit of backclass. Obviously, he ran an absolute cracker in the Albert Bartlett in the past. So he's got around Cheltenham. I mean, that must give you big hope going forward.
Yeah, obviously there's always been a bit of doubt if he stays from everyone on the outside looking in. But to be honest, he just got pipped that day, and I think if that horse was to join him coming down to the last, he only would have picked up again. So I haven't got any worries about the extra trip, and like he's always shown a bit of class, and just the way he goes through his races and the way he's won. So no, very much looking forward to it, and look, to have a contender is brilliant, you know.
After he won the Kiddo Star, of course, as a novice, we didn't see him for the remainder of the season. Were you guys, I suppose, always confident that you could get the horse back to this level of form, obviously with a stepping stone in the graduation chase and on to Kempton, but were you confident that the horse could return in that sort of form this season?
Well, look, to be fair, we always thought he was a nice horse. When horses go and having injuries like that, then it's always at the back of your mind whether they're gonna kind of go through with it. But to be fair to him, as soon as he came back in this season, he's much bigger, much stronger. Everything's been clockwork up until now. So yeah, look, Ollie and Ben have done a fantastic job to get him in tip-top form, and all through the season, really, he's taken each run well, and he's actually come out of each run better than he went into it. So I think he's a little improvement from Kempton, and no, so all systems go now.
Sound like he's in good shape. And looking at the Dublin Racing Festival, I mean, he was almost favourite by default for standing in his box.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's obviously nice to see the horses that he's been contending with and obviously beaten going to run well. So no, it's just getting everyone a bit revved and a bit excited now. So another 5 weeks to go, and then we can get excited, I guess.
And Harry Redknapp was a good man for deadline day. He was also a good man for a big success at a big price as well in the FA Cup. Portsmouth, of course, went on to glory under Harry's reign. Seems to be pretty lucky with the racehorses as well. I mean, what's it like, you know, I suppose, mingling with the likes of Harry Redknapp after a race? He seems to really get a good kick out of it.
Yeah, he genuinely loves horses. He loves horse racing. And like, yeah, he's been lucky with probably the few horses he's had, especially with Ben. But you wouldn't want it to see it happen to a nicer guy. He genuinely loves the game, and he gets very nervous before the runs. So No, like we had a bit of success on Shake 'em Up Harry at the festival and stuff. So it was very surreal walking into the paddock, speaking to him the first time. But he's very, very level headed, very genuine, and no, he's just a top class bloke.
Who's your team in the football? Is there a little bit of rivalry there? Are you on the same side?
No, I just pick and choose whoever's better on the day. Really, I watch match of the day on a Saturday, and that's me done.
69 winners for the season. I'm sure that was right up there in terms of your successes this season. But looking at, I suppose, horses entered this weekend, there is a horse I wanted to ask you about first and foremost. Massive fan of the horse, and I know you ride a little bit for Philip Hobbs, a couple of entries over the weekend. Sober Glory. How is he? And do you think he's put maybe the Sandown run behind him?
I hope so. I think it's probably a good thing I wasn't on him that day, because every time I've ridden him, he's given me a tremendous feel. He's gone through his races ever so smoothly and with a bit of class. So look, we got a bit of rain to get through this week, and hopefully the meetings will be on the weekend, and we can see him stepping up in grade again. But as far as Sandown's concerned, we just have to put a line through it and hope that he is the horse that we think he is.
Is he a horse do you think will get further than 2 miles? He only has one entry, I believe, in Cheltenham. Do you think maybe, is that still possibly, is the dream still alive there?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously he's got to go and be competitive on the weekend. But for what the feel I'm having and the way he is at home and everything, that hopefully he's good enough to be there on the day. And yeah, look, we just keep each day as it comes and get through Sunday first.
From your perspective, what do you think are his biggest attributes?
He's got a very high cruising speed. He's a very good jumper, and I think once he just gets into that zone, he just kind of keeps on going. So you wouldn't have thought probably he is a 2 miler, but I was very impressed with the way he kind of went through the race in Newbury and the way he quickened up, and the feel he gave me underneath me. So yeah, look, we're hoping. I think he has got a bit more speed than we've given him credit for, and if it was to go soft or heavy on a stiff 2 mile track, then I think that would be right up his street.
From the feel you got, do you think his horse could go right to the top?
I think so. Yeah, it's obviously still early days, but every time I've ridden him, he hasn't given me any other reason to say why not.
Mambo number 5 holds an entry at the weekend. This is a horse that came with a big reputation from France, went for a big fee, and are we now starting to see the real Mambo number 5? He's a massive individual, is he?
He was always going to be a chaser. His first run in Cheltenham was disappointing, and then he went and won the Adonis. So we kind of just took that as if with a pinch of salt, really, because he shouldn't be running or winning at that grade over hurdles. And I think, again, just showing a bit of class that he has. We were very excited to get him over fences as a 4-year-old and with the allowance and whatnot, and he's taken to it really well. I don't think 2 miles is ideal trip, really. Like, looking into the future, he's definitely going to stay further, but being so young and whatnot, we obviously don't want to go to the well too early. So we say he doesn't like 2 mile, but he seems to keep on winning. So hopefully he can run well on the weekend and hold his chance at Cheltenham.
Another novice chaser, Meet Me by the Sea, unbeaten over fences thus far. It was a good weekend, obviously, for JP McManus at the Dublin Racing Festival. But how does he maybe compare to Mambo number 5, attribute-wise and even mentally?
To be honest, I've only sat on him the once on the track, and that was the last day at Ayr. And he's very, very probably the complete opposite to Mambo. He'd be a bit headstrong and want to get on with it, whereas Meet Me by the Sea is just kind of just puts his head down and keeps on motoring and keeps on galloping without picking up the bridle. So he's a fantastic jumper. The last day I thought I was probably beat. He didn't love the horrendous ground up in Ayr, and he got to 2 out, and it looked like he just joined in. So I think he's definitely got a bit of class about him, and hopefully he's still well marked and can go well.
Lanesborough. This is a horse ended up in the feature handicap over the 2 miles at the weekend. It's a local venue, obviously, to the stable, and I'm sure they'd absolutely love to have success in the big one. What chance, Lanesborough?
I really like Lanesborough. He's a horse that's progressed all through his career, and I think going back to his last year when he was in his novice and went on his handicap debut, all he did was impress me, and he was still very raw. He didn't jump as well as he probably should, and he was a little bit keen. And then this year, then he went to Doncaster and did it the way he should and the way I thought he could. Jumped superb and travelled really strongly and nicely. Last day in Kempton, I think he ran fine, but I think we have to put a line through it. Normally he's quite gassy and keen, and he didn't really travel with me, and he didn't travel even cantering down to start. So I'd be very much so to put a line through that race. And I saw him work. This morning actually, and he looks back to tip top form. So very much looking forward to see how he gets on.
Expecting him to be bang there?
I would like to think he won't be too far away.
Does Emma Lavelle have the future stairs hurdle horse in the yard once again?
Well, if I keep the ride, I hope she has. To be honest, he gave me a brilliant feel the last day. Just found everything so easy, jumped superb, and when I gave him a flick after the last, he genuinely took off. So it's ground he's never ran on before, and I know others were saying about the ground, and that's why they didn't turn up. But he was in the same boat as well. We didn't know if he'd handled it. So he's obviously got to find a little bit more improvement. But look, all he's done all season is improve. So why can't he improve again?
We're talking about Mr. Shantu, of course, and physically, is he maybe a little bit slighter than Paisley Park? Is he physically what's he like?
Yeah, he wouldn't be overly big. He wouldn't be as strong as Paisley Park in the sense of body wise. But the way he goes and the way he is at home is very similar to Paisley. Very not lethargic, but just does his job, goes back in his box and sleeps. He's very, very easygoing, and yeah, he's got an attitude to die for, really.
He's obviously won on soft ground. He's won on quick ground. His record at Cheltenham is phenomenal this season. Handles the course. But how impressed were you with, I suppose, the last furlong, or even 50 yards to the line? I mean, it really opened up. I know he was getting weight, but it was a pretty good performance, Ben.
Yeah, when I started riding at Cheltenham, I always got to the bottom of the hill and I went slower up it. And it's only the last few times I've obviously had a few winners around there now, and I'm hitting the line strong. And that day when Marchand 2 hit the line, I genuinely had to pull him up, and I wouldn't have had that too many times. So the further he went, the better he got, and he actually showed a bit of speed about him as well after the last. So no, he's very classy, and it's just obviously he's got to step up a little bit again, and hopefully he can.
A couple of others to mention not entered up at the weekend. Diva Luna, how is she?
Yeah, she seems in good form. To be honest, I haven't really seen her for a couple of weeks now, so I'm only in for a couple of lots 3 days a week, and she tends to be later on, or I seem to miss it. So as far as I'm aware, she's all good, and look, she's taking defences really well, so it's very exciting.
Vanderpool, he's a horse on the upgrade. Real improver this season. Could the Grand Annual perhaps be on the agenda?
I think so. At the start of the year, if you asked us what was probably our best novice chase, so me and Ben both said Vanderpool would be up there, and like his first 2 runs, they weren't disappointing, but for the grade that we held him at, it was disappointing to us, and it wasn't only until 2 runs ago, the penny started to drop, and then Sandown the last day, he was brilliant again. So hopefully, if he can even improve a tiny bit more, then hopefully he won't be too far away in the Grand Annual.
Handstands, how's he doing?
Yeah, brilliant. He's come out of Windsor really well. Worked up sizing this morning, and he seems to be back to old ways. So he looks brilliant, and he's come out of Windsor really well.
Where could we see him possibly next?
I'd say probably Cheltenham. Probably one of the 3 mile handicaps or something. Maybe the Ultimo or something like that. Maybe. I see he's got Welsh. He's got a national entry as well. So I'd say that's probably going to be the main aim now.
Finally, Ben, before we do let you go, other horses that maybe we haven't mentioned, looking forward to the spring festivals. Give us one or two maybe to keep our eye on, that maybe ones that we haven't mentioned already.
Probably no questions asked. All he's done is improve Novice chasing this year, and I'm not quite sure if he's going to go to Cheltenham or if he's going to go to Aintree, but he's had a good break now since his last run, wherever he goes next, and he goes really well fresh, and all he's done is impress me this year. So I've always had him in high regard, and I'll say keep an eye on him.
For the weekend's racing, final question, best chance of a winner this upcoming weekend?
I'm going to say Mambo number 5.
Yes, you're very welcome back, and wonderful to hear from our very special guest, Ben Jones. Barry, he's having a great season.
Certainly is, operating at 33%. Machantu obviously winning for Ben Jones and Emma Lavelle on trials weekend. King George as well, the jukebox man. And he's heading to Cheltenham, Dave. Not just this weekend with the Kingmaker, but he's heading to Cheltenham with some real life chances, and a jockey that's 69 winners, Dave, as we're recording for the season. And we've had a couple of Welsh guests on, haven't we, recent times on the podcast?
We certainly have, and all doing pretty well at their game as well. Right, a big thank you as well to Lonit, of course, our partner is driving our social media videos, and you'll see plenty of clips from the Road to Cheltenham show each week, and of course our regular weekly podcast. Right, we move on because we're going to look at race 4 of the 5 races that we look at on the 5 this week, and the next one we look at is a 2 mile, half a furlong Premier Handicap Hurdle. And Barry, I think it's have to start here with the Skeleton runner Let It Rain on the back of that, third place finish at Ascot last time. I thought it might have got there, maybe just didn't find as little. Went off a well back 5-2 favourite on the day. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, but it was having its first run, Dave, for, 387 days. Let It Rain. Went up 4 pounds without winning on that occasion. And I thought heading into Ascot, or heading into this season, Dave, was possibly the best handicapped horse in the UK off 120, because if you look at its bumper and maiden hurdle form, it's really worked out. Let It Rain, a listed winner of a bumper, of course, at Ascot. And if you look at, I suppose, the overall form from her maiden hurdle, Cola Vogue, she's form tied in with her, and Celtic Dino, Let It Rain in her bumpers. I think I bet Celtic Dino in that listed bumper at Ascot by 10 lengths, and that's gone on to achieve a rating of 147. So there's every possibility off 124, Dave, that Let It Rain could be absolutely chucked in. She's a nice racing weight, 11 stone. The Skeletons are still hunting the prize money, Dave, and this is the feature in terms of prize money, in terms of the handicaps this weekend. And 88,000, I think, £88,000 set to the winner. I think she'll be hard beaten, Dave. 11-4, wouldn't be surprised if she went off even shorter than that. As I said, Dave, heading into the season, she had been off for quite some time. A 7-year-old with just 5 runs. She's now had her first start in Handicap Company, second run now in Handicap Company. She was entitled to be fresh. She raced quite keen when held up at Ascot last time, Dave. You mentioned her finishing effort. I thought she was entitled to get tired. I'd say she'll come on an absolute ton for that. The Skeletons are operating at 30%. She's not the nap of the weekend, Dave, because it is a competitive handicap, but she'll go in as the next best. I certainly won't be taking her on. Obviously, Ben Jones mentioning Lanesborough did a nice piece of work in the week, and that obviously, a decent price perhaps there at 8-1. Another one at a bigger price that could come into the mix, I did think was Tutti Quanti off top weight for the Nichols team, but all things being equal, Let It Rain. I think it'll be tough to stop this Skeleton mare 11-4.
Absolutely. I think she'll be hard beat as well in that particular race. Right, on to race number 5 then of the 5 cast races this week. It is the Kingmaker Novice Chase Grade 2. And we've heard from Ben Jones, believes that maybe Mambo number 5 is his best chance of a winner. He rides this one for Ben Pauling in the 2 mile contest, the 150 at Warwick on Saturday, Barry.
Yes, and look, obviously Mambo number 5 went for a big figure at the Arcana Summer Sales back in July 2024, Dave. And big individual, 450,000, nearly $500,000, Dave, this horse cost at the Arcana summer sales back in July 24. So had the price tag, now unbeaten, 3 from 3 over fences. Really like this performance the last day at Kempton, albeit on quicker ground than what he's going to face here. But he's a big individual, Dave. There's an argument he could actually improve. He's obviously come from France. He could improve perhaps for a softer surface. We don't know. He hasn't raced on softer, heavy ground in the UK. There is a £7 swing for those maybe considering back in Hansard here. I think he's more exposed than the likes of Mambo number 5 as a racehorse, but there's a £7 swing there. He's been well backed into 6-1. He could be the biggest danger. As I said, Mambo number 5, Ben Jones. It's kind of hard to argue with him, Dave. He's short once again. 7-4 at the moment, best price, but Mambo number 5 should take the beating at Warwick. And I think the Warwick fences will really suit this individual.
Yeah, I think he's got a really big chance as well. And as Ben said, one of his best chance of a winner this weekend. Right, we are going to head into our next ad break. And right after this, we're going to come back and we're going to take a look at the big races in Ireland this week.
McCafferty's traditional Irish bars are located across Ireland, the UK, Spain and the United Arab Emirates. McCafferty's bars provide the perfect backdrop and atmosphere to watch all horse racing and sports events, serving traditional Irish food and music played 7 days a week. Come to McCafferty's for the crack and stay for the experience. Check out McCafferty'sbars.com.
Yes, you're very welcome back. And as we move on with the show, Barry, we look ahead to some of the big race entries in Ireland this weekend.
Yes, in Ireland this weekend, Dave. Thurles obviously on Thursday as we're recording. And the one I like in the 217, Dave. Could be a short price, but Paul Townend's on board for Willie Mullins. This Loretz Destraval was a good second behind starting 15 at Limerick over Christmas. That was on heavy ground. Should handle the ground conditions. And I thought, to be fair, starting 15... ran a cracker at Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival and could be one maybe to watch in handicap company, Dave, when tried. He's off 135 at the moment. And Loretz Destraval, I thought, should be well up to winning that 217 at Thurles on Thursday as we're recording. The other one to mention as well, Mullaglass. Now, we've been a fan of this horse, Dave, when it won at Clonmel earlier on the season. We give it a good mention on the podcast for the Slattery team, and runs at Naas in the 140 on Saturday in the Connolly's Red Mills series. And Mullaglass was sent over to Cheltenham. Not too often you see the Slatteries with a runner at Cheltenham, and I thought, look, disappointed on that occasion. I think the vibes are they're happy with the horse since then, and he'd go down with a big chance. Like, he's rated 117, is a little bit defined, but he's had a good break between his last race and Naas on Saturday. And I'm expecting a big run from Mullaglass in that 140 at Naas. A couple of the big entries, Dave, the headline entries in Ireland this weekend with the Opera Hat, of course, Dino Blue. She likes it around Naas, and looking at race conditions, Bioluminescence is in there as well. But I'd be with Dino Blue. She's in good form this season. Should take a bit of stopping in that. And Mark Walsh, I mean, his run of form at the moment, there's no slowing the man down, Dave. Obviously, Old School Outlaw winning yesterday at Fairyhouse. She was absolutely mighty impressive, getting up to beat Place de la Nation. She'd have a big chance, I think, in the mare's Novice, the Dawn Run at the festival. She could be tough to stop in that. The only horse had to have beaten Bambino Fever in her career. And I just think Mark Walsh, look, he's on the crest of a wave, and honesty policy for Gordon Elliott in the Boyne Hurdle at the weekend. The Flying Bolt doesn't look the strongest renewal this season, but I think the Boyne Hurdle, there's some good entries in there. Honesty policy, looking forward to seeing maybe what he can do if he lines up there in his prep run for the festival, of course, come March, because he's a big live player for the Stairs Hurdle. So Mark Walsh with some interesting rides over the coming days, Dave. And to be fair to him, 4 winners at the Dublin Racing Festival. Speaking to Niall Tierney on the Road to Cheltenham Challenge yesterday, I mean, he said it, Dave. I mean, Mark Walsh is doing the talking on the racecourse, isn't he?
He's doing the talking where you have to do it, isn't it? He's and he is a top man, and he's coming to the end of the campaign as stable jockey to JP at the end of the season. But by God, he plans to go out with a bang. It's a cracking weekend of racing to look forward to in Ireland this weekend.
Midland Travel in Tullamore have been providing a full range of horse racing packages for over 20 years, catering for all types of budgets. And they're off. Stephen and the team at Midland Travel can help you realise your sporting travel dreams. Midland Travel are the only company in Ireland that runs coach and ferry packages from both Manchester United and Liverpool. Check out midlandtravel.ie or contact 057 932 6777 for more information.
Yes, Midland Travel have you very well covered for all your tours in the sporting world. And of course, on Thursday the 12th, we will announce the prize winner who will be off to see the Cheltenham Gold Cup at Cheltenham this year. As always, we finish off this weekly edition of the Champ.ie Horse Racing Podcast by catching up with Stephen Thorne. Barry, another great show. And of course, you had a very nice guest in Niall Tierney on the road to Cheltenham. You can check that show out, of course, with Barry and Niall, looking back actually at the Dublin Racing Festival. A great guest.
Yeah, he's a man, as I said to Niall, he's carving through the racing media world like a hot knife through butter, Dave, and top fella as well from Prosperous, just outside Kildare, and doing a good bit of writing with irishracing.com. So wish Niall all the best. He got a fantastic reaction to bringing Niall on, and really good speaker as well, and made a big case for Espresso Milan, who he fancies for the Albert Bartlett at the festival itself. So big shout out to Niall, and all who follow the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. If you haven't put in, I suppose, on the Monday show, your latest selection, make sure to do so, because that trip to the Boyle Sports Irish Grand National, the VIP trip to the Boyle Sports Irish Grand National, will be announced on the eve of the Cheltenham Festival. Just one last announcement, Dave. Red Mills Day, of course, coming up at Gorham Park. Tickets are dropping, I do believe, at 9 a.m. this Friday on the Gorham Park website. So it's free in. I mean, Red Mills, this initiative, Dave, has been running for the last number of seasons, and expecting massive crowds once again at Gorham Park. And make sure to log on, I suppose, at 9 a.m. this Friday, where I do believe the last batch, should I say, of free tickets for Red Mills Day at Gorham Park will be released. So yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to being down on course once again. Absolutely.
Right, Stephen Thorne, then let's get all your news. And from Barry and I, have a great week.
From Dundalk to Longchamp, from the Galway races to the Breeders' Cup, Shamrock Thoroughbreds recently celebrated their 100th winner, and Ireland's leading racehorse syndicate has taken owners all over the world. Shamrock Thoroughbreds founder Stephen Thorne remarkably won the Winter Trainers' Championship at Dundalk during his first season as a racehorse trainer. To experience success with Shamrock Thoroughbreds and Stephen Thorne Racing, check out shamrockthoroughbreds.com.
All very much to play for in the Winter Trainers' Championship, and the current champion, of course, Stephen Thorne, currently joint third. We're in the top three at the moment, Steve, but still a lot of nights left up in Dundalk.
Yeah, thanks, Barry. I think there's about 7 meetings left for the winter all-weather trainer series. So, look, we're hanging in there with horses running well. We've had 2 winners there for the month of January. 2 nice winners there for Mr. John Kirkland. So, stable is still firing on all cylinders, and plenty of placed horses as well to go with it, and a couple of fresh horses out there on Friday as well.
Well, your title defence is going a little bit better than Liverpool's title defence, so we'll give you that. Looking ahead to this week, first of all, actually, just last weekend, last Friday night up at Dundalk, Take Heart, a lovely horse. What was your thoughts on the race? We had you on building up, obviously, to the Friday night. Take Heart came from Johnny Murtagh's, lovely individual. What was your thoughts on the race?
Yeah, look, he went down 3/4 of a length. Obviously, Michael O'Callaghan's horse confirmed the form of the last night. We got a little bit closer, mind you, but Michael's horse looks to be an improving sort. And, we sat at the back of the field. Michael went right. Lee Roche went right on Michael's horse, and Jack Carney went in her with ours. And there wasn't much in it between them. And obviously, San Andreas sandwiched them there as well at the finish. But look, he ran his heart out. Perhaps the 1.5-mile trip was a little bit too far from him. We'll revert to 10 furlongs there. There's a 0-90 over 10 on Wednesday week for him.
Lovely new recruit as well, Curdos. This one obviously came from Clive Cox, achieved a lovely rating in the UK of 100, and starts off for you on Friday night. What a 3 runners.
Yeah, look at he's a proper group horse. This Group One horse, Group One form in the book. He was fifth in the Group One Kingston last year, and the previous year, last year he was, the first horse home from the low draws. So he's a winner of the Group Two Temple Stakes in 2024. So look at he came to us. We bought him in October, and we've brought him along lovely, and he's ready to start there on Friday night. There's only a small field, 4 runners. I'm looking to try and get a confidence booster into the horse pre-turf season, and I'm hoping that we can target a nice listed race there once the turf starts back. He's very ground versatile, and he's a very quick horse. So looking forward to getting him out on Friday and see how we get on.
Valiant Force is the top rate at 105, and he sets a good standard. But how ready is Curtis?
Yeah, good standard set by Valiant Force. Obviously he had a run back in December. We're lacking a recent run, so fitness wise, I think the Valiant Force horse will probably have an edge, and he's a very useful horse around there. So I think if we run a nice race, we'll drop in behind him and have one go at them up the straight. If we run a nice second to him, I'll be happy, and if he gets the job done, all the better to get a confidence booster in pre-turf season.
Inish Fallen runs in the 4:15, and as we were just talking off air, ran a big race last time over the 7 furlongs at Dundalk, rated 83, down to 82, dropped a pound.
Yeah, dropped a pound for last week. Obviously the winner was very good from the front, and looked like maybe we didn't stay the trip. So I'm dropping back to 5. We're lacking sort of sprint options now. I'm going to drop back to a fast run 5. We've got a lovely draw in stall 3. This horse is threatening to win, and I'm hoping that he'll do so now before the end of the all-weather. He's in great form. He came out of the race well last week, and I'm expecting him to go close on Friday. A fast run 5 will hopefully suit him well.
Perfect Judgment, 6:15. I mean, he's been some servant Perfect Judgment. What's your thoughts? Drop £3 to 76.
Yeah, look, he's looking very dangerously well handicapped now at this stage. Obviously, he's not the horse that went up there last year and racked up a hat trick, but he's come sliding down the weights as a result of his last couple of efforts. We were a bit disappointed with him first run back there in January, although he hadn't ran for 6 weeks before that. We got a small little hiccup before Christmas with a stone bruise. So look, at all things being equal, he'll have stepped forward for that run, but he's going to need to step forward and put his best foot forward. He's down the weights, but Jack Carney booked to ride, drawn in stall 8 of the 10. I think dropping back from the mile to the 7, I'm hoping will bring out a little bit more improvement from what he's been showing, and just change of visors there from blinkers to visors might also hopefully do the trick.
You mentioned the hat trick that he racked up last season, and the first of those wins, he was running off 70, 74. He's off 76 here. I mean, he's only 5 years of age. Are you expecting a big run on Friday night?
Yeah, look, he's bound to pop up before the end of the all-weather series. I'm hoping anyway. He's still training as well as he was. I just think probably gone as high as into the 90s there last season on the back of those 3 straight wins. It doesn't half knock a horse's confidence, and it's just taking some time to get him back to a realistic winnable mark. Even though the horse has been, running his eyeballs out there, but. Fingers crossed we can get a bit of form back into him on Friday.
Best chance of winner on Friday, I feel.
Look, I like the Inish Fallen horse dropping back to a fast 5. He had some very good form in the UK. Slipped down the weights. He's a fresh horse in that grade of race, even though we're lumping top weight. And I'm hoping that, a fresh horse in that sprint division on Friday, I'm hoping he'll go very close. Obviously, Kurdos is one to watch for the future. He's a very nice horse, and I'm hoping that we can get some confidence into him on Friday before the turf season commences next month.
Sir Les Patterson and obviously Far From Dandy, 2 horses that very, very impressive just before the Christmas periods. How are both, I suppose, leading up to Good Friday?
Yeah, look, at both horses had a bit of a downtime there through the Christmas period. So Les had a full month off, and he's been back there. Obviously, the aim is to go to Newcastle with him. He needs one more run. We've penciled in the 20th of February there to get the 3rd run, the sprint at Dundalk there, the 6 furlong, not to 100, and then we'll head straight to Newcastle with him after that. But very progressive horse. Delighted to have him on our side now heading into the spring. and we have a lovely lower turf rating then to campaign him, for one of the big sprint handicaps when the summer turf season comes around. Far From Dandy also had a little break there through the Christmas period, won his last two, and looks very progressive. I'm hoping that if he steps forward and progresses from 3 to 4, we're obviously going to start him on the mile on the 20th there as well, the 0 to 100 mile, and he's entries in the English Lincoln. He'll get an entry in the Irish Lincoln, and there's also a mile 150 grand pot in Newcastle. So all those options are in the melting pot for him, and we'll make a concrete plan after the 20th for Far From Dandy. But he's in great form. Both horses are in great form.
Super, and hopefully we will catch up ahead of the 20th as well. Finally, Steve, before we let you go on this week's edition of the Champ.ie podcast, we were syndicating last week. Are we still syndicating? I think 20% left in the racehorse that I'm not even going to try pronounce the name. God bless my French, Steve. You might help me out.
Je suis celebrate. 20% left now. He's gone down very well amongst my current shareholders, and we've got some fresh people involved as well. So he's going to start off on the 20th there in a 4+7 furlong maiden. So I'm hoping the 20th will be a nice night for us. Lovely horse, settled into the routine very nicely, and he looks to have a nice bit of ability so far from what we see. And lovely horse to get involved in. Fresh horse, lightly raced, looks progressive, and I couldn't recommend him enough.